Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Daly. I spent 20 years with United Press International, most of it with the old UPI Radio Network. And my favorite assignment was going on the road producing and hosting American Montage. It was an hour-long weekly program. Now here's an edited version of one of those shows. And one of my favorite assignments was going to the top of the Golden Gate Bridge. What a rare treat. Not many reporters got that chance. This was, of course, before 9/11. I doubt if anybody but the painters get up there now. My host was the manager of the bridge at the time, Bob Warren. I mentioned to him that people visited San Francisco from around the world, and I asked him about the most frequent questions the bridge managers get asked from tourists.
The main comment we get is, why isn't the bridge gold? For some reason, everybody thinks that the Golden Gate is going to be a gold bridge, and I get any number of phone calls and letters each year, some actually complaining that it wasn't gold, that they were disappointed, and they want us to change the color. We really like the color the way it is. We think it's very distinctive, and it's what the original designers and architects wanted, and we like the color.
It's kind of a lovely rust in a way. Does it have an official name?
We don't use the term rust out here.
I'm sorry.
The official name is Golden Gate Bridge International Orange. And I'd describe it more as a brick color, not a rust color.
Okay. I will never use the word rust here on the bridge. Can we go outside? It's a windy day here in San Francisco and meet out on the bridge and talk about it out there?
Sure. We'd love to.
We join Bob now as he takes my colleague Bill Clough and me in you might as well call it a golf cart. The bridge is so big, to get to the towers and back and forth with guests and painters, they have to use a golf cart as we rumbled along down one of the sidewalks toward the tower that contains the elevator that will take us to the top of the bridge. I asked Bob about a massive project that's going on to retrofit the bridge to make it safer should there be another big earthquake.
Okay, well, we have a $175 million project to do what we're calling our seismic retrofit work. This is basically using knowledge that was learned during the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. The things that, really the textbooks on earthquake engineering were rewritten, and the majority of the work is going to be done in the approaches to the bridge. The span that we're just going on right now and the corresponding span at the north end of the bridge. The actual vent structures are going to be completely replaced. It's a major work. The main bridge itself is not too bad a shape. There'll be some work done in strengthening the base of the towers. There'll be some work at the tops of the towers. The anchorages are going to be upgraded considerably, the anchorages for the main cables. But the biggest part of the work is in the approach spans.
Now, does that mean, you talk about the anchorages where the ends of the cables obviously have to be anchored somewhere? You're going to add cement down there? Is it going to be a lot of underwater or underground work?
No, it's not so much that we're going to be adding cement. But what they're going to be doing right now, the cables anchor in two separate, what they call weight blocks, and they're going to tie those two blocks together. They're concerned that there could be independent movement of the two blocks at the time of an earthquake. And the anchorage structures themselves are going to be adding a lot of diaphragm walls to just stiffen up the structure.
I would presume one of the most common questions you get asked, and the one I have to ask you is it true the bridge is always in the state of being painted?
Any bridge of this magnitude is continuously painted. I think you'll find that anywhere in the country, that long span bridges you're just never done. There's always work to be done. So we have a full-time paint crew on this bridge, and every other bridge on the bay has a full-time paint crew.
Well, now this bridge ranks where now as far as length of span worldwide?
I think it's probably third. I think it's third or fourth as far as the length of the main span. The bridge in England is the longest span, and then there's a bridge being built in Japan that's a longer span.
It's absolutely remarkable, too. You come to San Francisco, and I will tell this to people who've never been here. This bridge has a million faces, depending upon what time of day it is, whether the fog is in or out or halfway. Every 3 or 4 minutes you can look at this bridge in some weather conditions, and it looks absolutely different.
Every day is different. That's what makes it so nice. And every morning when I drive down coming to work and come down through the tunnel and see the bridge, it looks different.
Finally, it was time to go to the top of the Golden Gate Bridge. My cohort Bill Clough and I rode up a little, tiny elevator to the top. It took 5 or 6 minutes. It was extremely crowded, but the view from the top of the tower is absolutely amazing.
We're how far above the road down there?
We're about 500 feet above the road right now.
Okay.
A long 500 feet.
Well, this is such a rare treat. Obviously, this is not a tourist thing. You don't give tours of the bridge. If anybody's listening, please don't call Bob and say, take me to the top of the bridge. But I've been very lucky on this show. Last year, I went to the top of Big Ben in London. Not quite as high, but we had to go up the steps there, and it took the poor fellow and I about 30 minutes to recuperate before we could do the interview.
Well, at least here you had an elevator. We didn't make you climb.
Could you, are you at liberty to tell the story you told me before we got up to the top about having the hatch close on you one day?
Oh, sure. I mean, I was asked by my general manager to take a couple of important visitors up, and it was late in the afternoon. It was a man and his wife. Fortunately, they were very good sports about the whole thing, but when we got up here, I used to be in the habit of closing the hatch just after we were up here, just to make sure no one would step into it. This day I closed the hatch, and unfortunately the lock was jammed, so we were stuck up here. There was no way I could open the hatch. And the elevator, you can't call back down to the roadway, so we were literally stuck up here on the top of the tower. And I looked back down towards our maintenance area, and all the workers were leaving. It was quitting time. So I had to very sheepishly call in on the radio and ask the electrician who's on duty to climb up the cable to rescue us up here.
Well, you know, I noticed there are quite a few communications horns up here. This is a godsend for people in the communications industry to relay across this bridge because of the height up here.
Well, everything you're seeing up here is our own microwave system. This is how we communicate with our bus facilities in the northern counties and actually with all the buses and the ferry boats.
We couldn't hear it on the air, but underneath us went another one of those tourist ferry boats, and the guy's giving the tour on the PA system.
Yeah, it's just a steady stream of tour boats that come out here, especially in a day like today. This is very unusual weather. You really lucked out.
Well, we did, and it's absolutely phenomenal up here. I was going to ask about the crush of traffic that can come across here. Obviously, things go wrong sometimes. A traffic accident here and there, bad weather, bad visibility. How far have you seen traffic back up trying to get into the toll plaza? And you only pay toll one direction.
You pay toll southbound. The worst I've seen it due to a bad accident or something on the bridge, it may back up as far as Marin City or to the Richardson Bay Bridge to the north, which is about 4 miles. But that's a rare circumstance. Sunday afternoons in the summer, sometimes we will get a bad southbound backup. Sundays, it's the only time of the week when there just are not enough lanes of traffic for both directions, and we do get a backup.
This is just a magically beautiful day up here.
This is very unusual. The wind is out of the east, where normally our wind is from the west or the northwest. And that's why it's so warm here, is we're getting the warm. You can't blame this on El Nino. It's coming the other way.
Bob, I'm looking at the huge cables, and I guess it's simplistic to say cables are what a suspension bridge is. It is the cables on either side of the roadway from the two tall towers, and then the roadbed is suspended from them. I take it within this solid pipe you see here must be an awful lot of individual strands. I mean, it is not this casing that holds up the bridge.
No, the cable is made up of just little parallel wires. They're about 1/4 inch in diameter, about the diameter of a lead pencil. Something over 20,000 individual wires.
Bob, thanks again to you and your staff, and I think I'm going to take some more pictures.
My pleasure.
My special thanks to Bob Warren, the manager of the Golden Gate Bridge, to Carney Campion, the bridge keeper, and to the entire staff for inviting us up and giving us the very rare privilege of riding that teeny tiny cramped elevator to the top and telling you what the experience was like. And there you have it, another edited episode of one of the American Montage programs prepared for the UPI Radio Network back in the 1980s and 90s. I'm Dennis Daly. Thanks for listening. Thanks for going with me this week. And check YouTube for more American Montage programs.